Okay, well, welcome to GuildIt, and we're excited to have you all here. Uh, we are projecting on Facebook Live too, so hence the microphone. And when we get to Q&A, I may have Gloria repeat your questions so that the Facebook audience can hear it before you go into answering it. Does that sound good? Okay.
This could be just a tad louder.
Okay.
You're not speaking directly into it.
No.
Maybe if you turn it.
How does this sound? Better?
Much
Much better. Okay, great.
Thank you.
So to tell you a little bit about GuildIt, and then Gloria, first GuildIt. We are an art biz organization here in Kansas City, and this is our team, G.K. Callahan and I. Some of you are familiar with his great work, and he has pieces at the Avila College right now, at the gallery there. Okay, and definitely want to thank Bunker and all our wonderful supporters. And so this is the format you're going to see. Gloria is going to present for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then we'll have Q&A for about 40 minutes on, especially her needs, challenges, and goals, which she'll tell you more about. And then I'll tell you a little bit about what's happening with GuildIt, and then you are welcome to stay and network. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about Gloria. Gloria Heifner has shown at Lady Boco's MLB Boutique and has been at several galleries plus craft shows. She also teaches classes from drawing to class, is it
Decoupage.
Decoupage.
You made me struggle.
Since 2013, Gloria has been a full-time artist, having spent the decade before working as a graphic designer for Helzberg Diamonds. In 2017, she started her studio practice and offered classes. So we're excited to have her. Please welcome Gloria.
Thank you, Susanna. And thank you for having me today. I'm really excited about this opportunity. This logo that you see on here is the one that I developed when I started my studio practice. Am I sounding okay here? Okay, yeah. I can't tell from back here. And I have changed my practice quite a bit since then, so I'm sure that this needs to be updated. So that's going to be part of my marketing and figuring out my business strategy in the future. When I first went into my studio practice, I was teaching classes. Right now I'm not in a position to teach classes, but I'm kind of jumping ahead of myself. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about how I got started in art. I received my education from what was at the time Central Missouri State University. Since then, it's become the University of Central Missouri, or UCM. They have a great art department down there, and also graphics department. I started out with a major in art education, and then switched over to commercial art. So I picked up a lot of classes in painting and drawing and graphic design. This was pre-computer. Not to date myself, but
yeah.
And so we were doing everything with hand tools, basically brushes, pens and ink, and that kind of thing. I learned a lot about graphic arts, which has to do with the printing industry. And when I came out, my first job then was with my local hometown newspaper. So I got all this education on art, and basically what I was doing on the job was cutting and pasting. Something that we learn in elementary school. But it was a little bit more technical than that. But that was the bulk of what was going on in the basic commercial art jobs in Kansas City at that time. There were a ton of artists in the area. There were a lot of jobs, but not as many jobs as there were artists. So it wasn't a well-paying job, but it got my foot in the door in the printing industry. From there, I took my first job in Kansas City, which was with National Folding Carton Corporation. The work that I was doing for them, and then following that, I worked at Tension Envelope, and we were discussing what direction. Oh, okay, now I see where we're at. So Tension Envelope is this way, to the west of us, and I worked at less than a block away from here, I think, or about a block. I worked there for about 6 years, and that was my last job that I was actually doing graphic design or commercial art, whatever term you choose to use. From these jobs, I learned a lot about printing. So from there, I went on to do more in the printing industry as far as print coordination and working with the actual pressmen and that kind of thing. But backing up a little bit, when I was working in commercial art, today a commercial artist or a graphic designer works strictly on the computer. The tools that I used were a grid layout paper with blue lines on it so you could line up your type. We used blue markup pencils because that would not photograph on the darkroom cameras. We had a type book for type specification, and you would flip through the pages of the book, find the type you wanted, and then specify the size of type. We used X-Acto knives, rulers, straight edges, had to have a pica stick. Most people probably have no idea what that is, but I see some nodding out there, to measure your type with. Straight edges, and we glued everything down with rubber cement or wax. So this was very different than the way it is now. And when art department switched over to computers is about the time that I stepped back and went more into the printing industry. From there, I went into training and development and technical writing. And the job that I retired from was a technical writing job where I wrote the instructions for how to build a robot that would dispense prescription drugs. So that was quite the leap in my career, yeah. I currently have memberships in Kansas City Artists Coalition, and I added the second bullet point there, a gathering of artists. That's a group that I actually started in 2017 in my studio space. I had known a lot of artists, but I had stepped away from that group, and then when I went out on my own, I needed a way to interact with other artists. And I thought, well, let me just give this a try. So I set up an event and invited people to my studio space for just a networking event at that time. And surprisingly enough, I had about 5 or 6 people show up, which was great. We had a great interaction. GK was one of the first people. He and his dad came to the first meeting and have been coming ever since. And as that developed on a month-to-month basis, it has evolved into a really wonderful networking group. We have people come and go, but there's a core group that gets together on a monthly basis, the second Tuesday of each month at my studio. and we get a chance to discuss what's going on with us and what problems we're having, what opportunities we've heard of that maybe other people haven't heard of, and just exchange stories about our artwork and how we're doing with our artwork. That has become a real source of camaraderie and social networking for myself, and it seems to be really taking off right now. I have three more gatherings this year, and I already have them filled up with presenters because we started having presenters to draw people in. Jan Jensen presented this last month, and we had a great interactive group. So we have coming up Polly McCann, who has Flying Ketchup Press. We have, and I don't remember the ladies, Anna from Arts KC is going to be talking about the Now Showing program. And then in December, we have Tara from Arts KC to be talking about the grants program that Arts KC has. So we have some really good programs coming up. Under collaborations, I have a list of people that I have worked with, and not always as far as working on artwork together, but it's contributed to my artwork. Steele's Used Bookstore. If anybody's familiar with them, it's a very unique, eclectic place. And I met him when I first started my studio practice. He sells used books, and occasionally will get some books in that he doesn't know what to do with. So he got in the habit of calling me saying, I've got these books, and I really can't sell them. I don't have a use for them. Do you want them? And he would give me these books. So that's when I got to the point of figuring out what am I going to do with all of these books, and they had beautiful images in them. And that's how I got into my reverse decoupage, which I'll talk about a little bit later, and which this green piece here is an example of, with the fish. Jan Jensen Artists, we did the, what was the name of the heart we did? One heart.
Creative Hearts. Oh, one heart. Many
hands.
artists, one heart.
Okay. And that's what you see right here. And then Stu Langer's Glassmaster Studio is in with me where my studio is now. He makes these huge glass pieces that are just absolutely gorgeous. And he has leftover pieces of art that, to me, are big. Excuse me. And he actually made some platters for me to do reverse decoupage on, which again is the green piece right here. He made that, thank you, that piece for me to work on. Groove Orchard is another company that was in the space where I'm in now, and they make a cleaning solution for vinyl records. They gave me a lot of old unplayable records so I could paint on them, which is my poured acrylics, which is down here. So there's just so much fun stuff out there when you get to know these people. As Susanna said, I have been in quite a few gallery shows, and I've done some outdoor shows, which I've decided I'm getting too old to do anymore. I'm not going to be doing any more of those. But this is just a list of some of the places I've shown. Moving on. Whoops. There we go. My work started out about 10 years ago now. When I retired, I started doing what's called poured acrylics or fluid abstract acrylics, or there's any number of names. And I just fell in love with it because you don't know what's going to happen. And I'm talking too much. So,
You're not.
excuse me. But anyway, this is what I started doing, and I really loved it. And then a few years ago, I realized that our women's rights are being threatened right now, and I wanted to do something about it. So I moved on to doing portraits of women activists. And in doing that, I have put forth hopefully some educational pieces and shown people what has happened in the past. And it's amazing the things that some of these women have done in the past. But I call it my Audacious Women series, and I've shown it in several galleries in the past few years, and I keep adding pieces to it. I paint the portraits over with a background of my poured acrylics. Then most recently, I started doing what's called reverse decoupage. And this came from the books that Steele Bookstore gave me. It was a combination of the images from the books, art, paper for a background, all glued onto a glass piece.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some amazing glass pieces out there that you can find, and I just fell in love with this. And this was precipitated by Marie from MLB Designs looking at my artwork, and I'm showing her my paintings, thinking that's what I wanted to show. I had one or two bowls, and she liked the bowls. She wanted more of those, so I had to very quickly make a whole bunch more of those. And from that point, I've become kind of addicted to it. The process for my work, the abstract acrylic paintings are basically taking acrylic paints, thinning them down with an acrylic medium, and then and a little bit of water, pouring them onto the canvas and seeing what the paints do as they work together. And it's amazing, and it's therapeutic because you have no control. I'm one that wants to do all the details and get really controlling. This frees me up, so I can't do that. And then from my Audacious Women, I find black and white photos of these women usually, which is what I work from, and then use one of my abstract acrylic backgrounds or create one special for it, paint the portrait over the top of the background, and then I add a quote from the woman. Originally, I thought I would do the portraits, and then I realized that without something more, people don't understand who this woman is or what they've contributed. So that's why I added the quotes, and I find that they really add a dynamic element to the paintings that would not have been there otherwise. And this is an example of a reverse decoupage bowl. I started out with a clear glass bowl, which I couldn't find an image of this one originally, but this is one of my favorite bowls I ever worked on. And I glue the images face down on the outside of the bowl so they can be seen through the glass. So on the inside of the bowl is just glass. Then from there, I glue strips of paper for the background. And in this case, I actually did another layer of paper to put a different color on the outside, and then glue images on the outside. So you have both a composition on the outside from many different angles and a composition on the inside from different angles. And this piece here, I actually sold, and someone came in because they were wanting to buy another piece of mine. And they saw this piece, and it was funny, you could tell she just fell in love with it. Because we were standing there talking, and she just kept reaching over and touching it. And so she ended up buying both pieces that day, which is nice because I find that if I can get people into the gallery to see my reverse decoupage, it looks a lot better in person than in images.
Yeah.
For sure. The marketing that I do is mainly networking, which I feel like is probably the most important and probably the most difficult for an introvert like myself. But I find that getting to know people through my gathering of artists, through other activities like the Kansas City Artists Coalition, like GuildIt, that people talk about what's going on and they introduce you to people, and it's amazing how that just multiplies the people that you know and the people that are familiar with your artwork. I do social media. I do Facebook, Instagram, Gmail, and also I do use Messenger on both Facebook and Instagram. And I have trouble being consistent with this, but I have sold pieces to people who have gotten to know me online in one of these social medias.
Yeah.
So I think that's very important with all the problems they talk about with social media. I think for artists it is important. My challenges. I try so hard to be organized. I have fought this my whole life. And as you can see from the gray in my hair, it's been a long time. And I've almost given up on it because I can get organized and then start working on artwork. And it's kind of like that character in Peanuts, Pigpen, that has the dust flying out behind him. That's the way my materials go. And I turn around, and a day or two later, and it's not as bad as it was, but it's pretty darn close. I have problems setting goals, which you'll see when we get to the goals here in a minute. There's so much going on. I think I may be a little bit ADD, and all of us that are right-brained tend to see opportunities rather than staying focused. I have trouble setting a specific goal and then sticking to it. Business strategy, again, I think that's a very left brain thing. And I understand the overall concept, but as far as getting down to the nitty-gritty of it, that's a real challenge for me. And the other piece of this business strategy and goal setting is you have to interact with people within the business community. And I really am intimidated by people in that community. I don't do well just cold walking up to someone and starting to talk to them, unless I'm talking specifically about my artwork. But so those are the challenges that I struggle with. Some goals that I have, being retired, it would be nice to be able to make an income that it would at least pay for my habit, as they say. I need help developing my brand so that I can market better, marketing on social media, and finding the market for my artwork that is willing to pay what it pay for the value of the artwork. I would like to increase my number of gallery shows. I want to add paintings to my Audacious Women series and publish a photo book with bios of the women and a coloring book to introduce these women to a younger generation. My needs, I need help with the business strategy. I would have always thought it would be great to have a mentor or an advisor to kind of help me with those left brain things that I struggle with. And I would like to have some help with marketing and the business paperwork to free me up to work on my artwork. The caveat to that, as with all of our artists, I don't really have money to pay for those things. So I need someone that, like an intern, which I'm familiar with, or someone who's willing to do that on a trade basis or something of that nature. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity. I was so pleased when Susanna contacted me and asked me to be a part of GuildIt's programming. I have my information down here if anyone is interested in it, and I'm open to any questions that you might have. Stay up?
Yep. Okay, so why don't we open it up to questions? Does anyone want to have a burning question?
Actually, I don't have a question to open with, but I do have a list of questions. It is that when I came into your gathering of artist groups,
Mm-hmm.
I was super comfortable because I didn't feel like there was another agenda. That it was artists actually gathering
Mm-hmm.
to meet each other and get to know each other. And no one tried to sell me something. So I want to recommend, no, seriously,
That's
because
great. Thank you.
because I think we all need that connection,
Mhm.
that
That was the
camaraderie, and that
intent.
friendship that doesn't have some loaded agenda. I didn't get that with what you were doing. I didn't get that impression that that's what you were doing at your works gallery. And so I wanted to open with that. I do have questions later, but I want to say that I think that's a huge advantage because when we can set ourselves aside from having some kind of motive or selling agenda, which is valuable in certain avenues, venues, etc. But otherwise, when we can actually have this altruistic approach of wanting to gather ourselves and promote each other and help each other, I just think that's the optimum way to get together. Thank you, Gloria.
Thank you, because that's exactly what I was shooting for when I started it.
Thank
I
you.
didn't want an agenda.
Yeah.
I wanted a simple networking opportunity for artists that might be intimidated by other types of gatherings like that. And I didn't want the group to take on projects or anything like that.
Right,
We're
yeah.
just getting together to get together.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, is there information about that on the www. That must be your website?
That's my website, but I always set up an event on Facebook. Are you friends with me on Facebook?
I am not.
Okay. If you would send me a friend request on Facebook,
Okay.
then I will get you set up for that. And we also have a Facebook group that I can let you join.
Okay.
It's a private group, but it's for that purpose.
That sounds good. Okay.
Okay.
I have a quick question. Where do you get your glass from?
A lot of different places.
You're what from?
The glass for my reverse decoupage.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Some of the most unique pieces, like the fish one that I did, like I was saying about that one, come from thrift stores. You have to look it over real carefully to make sure it's not chipped or scratched. But I have found some really cool pieces in thrift stores. I've also bought some pieces online, some new pieces. I've gotten some from IKEA and other places like that. So just wherever I can find them.
Do we have other questions from the audience?
This is not a question, but more like in the form of a statement. You mentioned something about the possibility of being too old in a certain genre of your, yeah. And so I want to catch you on that thing. We need that. I think we need old. I think we need that historical reference to these various arts. And you have a long history. I think that's really valuable to all of us. I mean, I'm a senior too, but I'm just coming in. So I want to feel like I'm embedded in a culture of it. So I wanted to focus on that too, and not have you be shy about that. I think you need to market that in certain ways, that you have a standing, you have a history, you have, and I'm not talking about how you how you would say, well, you need to look at me, I'm an elder in this community, such and such. But you can present that in what you do, because clearly you do have a history in what you're talking about. And then also, I think you need to be the expert. I mean, that's in the areas that you're studying in. I think you need to be the expert. And so I don't know what that looks like or how you would talk about that, but there's so many of us who are looking for experts, and we just want to learn, what you're talking about with what you're putting on, what you're presenting. And also what your values are in that. You have values of some sort in what you're presenting. I'm sure that you do. And so I think that's fine for you to be an expert and to not be shy or dumb that down in some way. I think that's perfect. And I understand there's this mix between, okay, I'm the ultimate expert God, and I've got, yeah, right. So I mean, I get all of that, but I think you're savvy enough to be able to figure out how to talk about all of that. I really do. I like your integrity too. I want to say that. I really do like that you have this level of integrity about how you present yourself and what you're doing. Because I went to one of your gathering of artists, and it was just so incredibly comfortable. I wasn't being sold something, I wasn't being inscripted into someone's program in case my art was good enough, etc. It was just a mixing of artists and a collaboration. And thank you for that level of integrity. I think that's a good plus for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jan, did you have a question?
I do. Are you looking for, when you say organization, are you looking for organization like in your studio, or are you looking for organization with inventory of your pieces? Who are you and what are you looking for?
So the question is looking for organization. What kind?
I think both. And the organization for my inventory, that kind of thing, that's kind of the paperwork I'm needing someone to help with. But my studio space, I spend a lot of time looking for things that I could spend working on my artwork. So, yeah, I would say both.
So I know people.
Okay. I'm sure you do.
I do.
Yay, Jan.
But I also, Northland Caps is just an amazing,
I'm familiar,
yeah.
as you know.
And they do, they would have a great time doing your inventory of your stuff. Just
Okay,
bring them down to your studio and.
thank you.
Yeah, you can use them for project work. Actually, I just went to a networking session they had, and on Monday, and I had used one of their students to do a video for me. But two, there was a woman there who I was at the table with, a professional who was talking about her product, and it was a headrest for an airplane that you could actually pack things into. And one of the students was definitely interested in the sewing capacity. She was on a medical track, but she loved sewing. So she was definitely interested in assisting in turning in that area.
And what was the name of that again? Northland Caps?
Northland Caps. So it's a professional high school. They don't have any sports or anything, any school school team sports that compete because they're so focused on business. So they're already in a business track in high school. So I sat down with students who are in a medical business track or a business or global marketing or technology. So yeah,
And digital marketing, so they could help you
Digital-
also with
yeah,
that.
yeah. They will do a social media plan for you.
Oh, that would be great.
So
Yeah.
yeah. That's one of the things that they can easily do.
Mhm.
And so and they not only when you should post and where you should post, but where the good resources are. One thing I want to ask you about too is, have you looked into some good networking groups where patrons are in being like the Crossroads Association? Maybe go with other
No.
artists to that. So Crossroads has an association that is very active, and it's a community association. So it's not just businesses, but it's people who live in the Crossroads too. So very friendly, art-oriented group. Downtown Business Association, they actually support an artist each year and have scholarships for artists, as well as Urban Decor. They always feature an artist at their events, and of course North Casey Coffee. Have you?
I have been there. I've
Yeah.
visited there.
Okay, great,
Yes.
yes. Okay, and any other ideas people have as far as
Well, actually-
networking?
Yeah, I want to bring up something that someone, an art director approached me about your work. We had a conversation, a long one, and she thought I had synergy with your Audacious Women.
Mhm.
And not the way you do it,
Mhm.
but because of my character and personality and
Mhm.
such. And so she wants to exhibit us. She hasn't told you, but that's.
Yeah, I haven't heard this.
No, but I'm just saying that, and so that's what her idea is. She's a gallery owner and exhibit director. So I mean, she's thinking about these things in the community, and she talked to me about that. She said, God, you've got these ideas and such. I'd like to include you in that. She's also, I guess she hasn't told you. I hope this isn't going to be a problem for you, but
Mm-mm.
yeah, good, because she also has approached a couple of other artists that would be good in that collaboration, not for your look, right?
Right, right.
But so that we could
The
present right, as a total presentation, because that's what gallery directors think about,
Mhm.
right? That's what they're really looking at, is how does this theme fit? So I wanted to offer that too,
That's
as
good to know.
yeah, in opening to it as well for you, being open to that, because there's so many of us out here who, I mean, I do, I mean, obviously I have those, I have that penchant and those ideas as well, but I never even thought about it until this director talked to me about it and said, God, I want to put you with what's going on with that, and so, yeah,
Very cool.
I think it's valuable.
Yeah, other questions? Yes, Sam?
Yeah, we have a comment on Facebook that kind of feeds right into what you're talking about. From Laurel, and I apologize if I'm butchering her name, but they say, I'm an artist who moved from New Hampshire to Missouri a year ago. I would love to network with other artists. I love the idea of your group. I believe she's referring to your group, Gloria.
Mhm.
A gathering of artists, yes. Are you accepting new members? If so, where can I find you? Thank you for your presentation, and I love your work.
Great. I have events posted for my group on Facebook every month. I'm getting ready to post one for October, where we will have, I think I mentioned Polly McCann talking about Flying Ketchup Press. She's also an artist as well as a publisher and writer. And if anyone would send me a friend request, I would be glad to put them on my list of people that I send the events out to each month. And also we have a private Facebook group that I would include them in. And we have about 70-some members, I think, at the moment, somewhere around 75 members. So I would be glad to welcome her into that group.
And have you thought about putting it out there in that group or maybe at the Artist Coalition of anybody who wants to do trade and services, someone who's really good with social media and, and offer.
I have not thought of that.
Yeah.
But that, yeah.
I might have a reference for that. I had a youngster approach me last night. She was being intuitive about my, it's not reticence, but it's, I don't know. I need to be in my studio
Mm-hmm.
versus a ton of marketing time, talking, doing a blog and
Yes.
a newsletter, blah, 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 right?
Exactly.
Yeah, and so anyway, that might be a good reference. I'll pass it on to you and you.
Okay, thank you.
And we could see how that pans out. I'm gonna meet with her very shortly. And I have one other thing I want to put on the platform when you have a space. Go ahead.
Okay. Other questions we have in regards to, let me see, goal setting. We have a wonderful workshop I can send you a link to that an artist did who is also involved in Artist Inc.
Okay.
On goal setting and how it's really increased her productivity. And then as far as business strategy, any ideas or thoughts on goal setting or business strategy people wanted to?
Yeah, I wanted to, that fits with the other thing
Okay.
I wanted to say on my bucket list here, based on your presentation, and that is your comment that we have a history. So your interest in women could be said to be feminism, but your interest in women and then audacious women, it dovetails over to that subject area as well. And I think that's a really strong positive area to focus on, not as one major thing, but as one of your tracks. Because you're an elder and you have history. And I think that would help a lot of young artists, which is another motive that I have, even though I'm an emerging one, right? Yeah, I'm not an expert or an elder in all of this, but to be able to extend that out to the younger ones, your statement, I just think it's a super positive statement. We have a history, as a line of thinking for
We
your
do.
audacious women.
We do have a question back
So I was
there.
gonna say, I'm part of the business brain side of it. There are some, so I've developed many business strategies with people. There are some templates that have more of a question and answer. So and I can send you one of them, but
Okay,
rather
that'd be
than,
great.
yeah, because a lot of times it's intimidating because it says there's a big title and put your brand, statement, and so there's more of a question and answer that then will help you populate it. So just to help you kind of like self-therapy on what your business strategy should be.
Okay.
So I can send you that.
Thank you.
The other thing the other thing I was going to mention is definitely social media. There's a lot that you could be taking advantage of, whether you connect with one of the students. The thing that I would tell you is there's ways to make it so like you can post one place and it goes like 3 or 4 different places.
I do some of that with Instagram.
Yeah,
and
so
Facebook.
you'll have to like think of ways to save you time to do that. And I've noticed you saying it seems like you have a very strong personal brand. Like people really recognize your name and you do things from your personal Facebook. What you should think of is there a way to like not have a personal and a business brand, but how do you combine like your gallery, right? How do you make them like
One. Yeah.
yeah.
Good
Okay.
idea. Yeah.
Because you have a great
I'll think about
network
that.
and things, and so don't think of it as I have to do this for my gallery, but I'm doing this for me. Is there a way that you can combine them and just say, okay, when I do, I'm going to post on my gallery and then cascade over. Just ways to save time.
Okay, yeah, I'll think about that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But to have a coherence of the message, ways to save time, yes, but
Mhm.
a coherence in the message. For me, it's integrity. That's what I attach to you. So, yeah, I mean,
And that's you as a person, right? So how do you
Right.
take what people see as you as a person? And it seems like, right, you have a great like, local kind of reputation. So how do you take that and make sure it applies to your artwork and your gallery and the
Yeah.
products that you make? I really
perfect. Yeah.
challenge you to think about
Okay,
that.
thank you.
Yeah, Jennifer does business strategy or technical strategy for Microsoft, so.
Oh,
she's-
yeah.
she's,
I need to get to
she'll
know you
point-
better.
She'll point you in the right direction, so.
Good, thank you.
Great. Two, what about, one thing too, so you're a good gathering of people.
Mhm.
And, there's work groups, you have your current group started out as networking, it's kind of become informational.
Mhm.
But what if you have a strategy group or a business group in which you just meet with a small group of women and keep it to a closed number, and so you're always checking up on each other, and again, I think the business goals, strategies, and needs are always good to check up on, because new things pop up every month,
Mhm.
or even if you want to meet once a quarter,
Mhm.
and help keep track. Like for instance, the Heartland Gay Lesbian Organization, they do have a group that just meets on their business needs, challenges, and goals, or current projects they're trying to get off the ground.
Mhm.
And then so every month someone presents, and then but at the
Who's
beginning.
that? Who's that?
It's the Gay Lesbian, Heartland Gay Lesbian Group. And then at the beginning of or at the end of each meeting though, the person from the previous meeting presents on how they progressed on their project. So, that's more of a formal setting where someone presents, but you can just do a round table of a small group of people on how you guys are meeting your needs, challenges, and goals, and do a brainstorming
Mhm.
after each person speaks on how you
Mhm.
can assist each other.
Okay.
Just a thought.
I have thought of that, and I kind of attempted it, but it didn't pan out. The trick that I have had with that is you need the right people.
Mm-hmm.
Not just everyone works well with a group like that. And I don't mean that to be judgmental, but you need people that are going to encourage each other, that are going to build each other up at the same time that you're kind of holding their feet to the fire, so to speak. So that is something I've thought of, and that's something to spend a little more time thinking about, probably.
And not necessarily in your field.
Okay,
I think when you are doing that kind of group, having
Okay.
somebody in different industries
true.
gives
Yeah.
you a little different perspective.
Okay. Yeah, good point.
So other questions we have for Gloria? I think we covered some of these. Is there anything you felt you wanted feedback on that we haven't covered in particular?
I don't think so. One of the things holding me back the most is a constant up and down of my self-esteem, basically, as a person and an artist, for that matter. And I think that holds me back a lot. And that holds me back from starting a group like that, from talking to business people about my artwork and my business and that kind of thing. So, and that's just something that I have to learn how to deal with.
They also
So.
have meds.
What'd you say?
They also have meds for that.
That's true. This is true.
So I want to say something to that. I'm a psychologist.
Oh,
and
okay,
so,
we have a psychologist.
yeah, and
comment.
so I think the most important part of this is to keep your happiness meter going, you know, how happy does this make me? How happy am I in this endeavor? I mean, that's the whole part of it, really, because you know, Gloria, if you and I'm speaking for all of us, really, me, if you're really happy with what you're doing, there will be buyers. There absolutely will be buyers, and that means there's money attached to it. But are you happy with it? Are you inspired? Are you still happy with it?
Yeah.
So that's the measurement tool. And then you have this deal up here, this slide up here, mentor or advisor, to keep me on track. I think you are the mentor and advisor. I really do. I think as you enter that particular role, you'll find that it satisfies that part of you that wants to be directed. Because I think you just need to give yourself permission to be directed by you and your happiness meter. So, yeah, I really do. And to serve in the community where others need that particular role from those of us, those of you, in that category.
Well, I find mentors can help you, especially to start out in the direction you're wanting to go. Like, I had a wonderful mentor from SCORE who has 20 years of nonprofit experience that I wouldn't be able to even begin to accumulate. But two, once I get, he can help me initiate a project, and once I get on that project, then I just go. So sometimes having that mentor help initiate things for you,
Right. Right.
in
You're on the
that
right track.
direction, yeah. But I lost my train of thought. But we thank you
Thank
for
you.
your time here, and definitely you can connect with her on Facebook. Keep the ideas coming. I've had presenters I've worked with who I come across a grant application or such and just realize they're perfect for, and just sending them a link to, via Facebook or email. And, one of my artists ended up with a $20,000 grant that way. So you can really impact someone's life with a referral or just asking, have you thought of this? And and you guys make a difference. So we appreciate you coming here.
Thank you.
Any parting words you'd like to leave us with?
Just thank you, everybody, for coming and supporting me and GuildIt, and thank you for the opportunity.
Terrific. Well, it's been great having you. I appreciate you. And let's give her one more. And just to tell you a little bit more about GuildIt, we are, this GuildIt is 7-year-old organizations. We've done wonderful events, anywhere from these small intimate events to events that have 200 people. But we're excited to finally say too, we're moving, we're still doing events, but we're also going to be opening up co-working spaces or workspaces, including co-working in studios at the FlexPod Westport. So you'll hear announcements about application availability coming up within the next few weeks. Keep on the lookout if you have a friend who's interested. They're very affordable studio spaces. There's some wonderful studio spaces here at the bunker. We're not going to be quite that nice, but we'll probably be a little bit on the lower end too. So those artists who are looking for their first studio space or to manage studio spaces while they manage other work, while they work in other industries, these studios would be great for them. And I invite you to come to tour the bunker. There's 4, 5, 6 galleries here. And as you maze between the galleries, there's wonderful work in the hallways, and they're open every first Friday as well with new artists within their or their galleries. So lots of art and changing art here. All right, and I just want to tell you, do tell your friends about GuildIt, donate, and I welcome you to stay and network with Gloria and others. So appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.